Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is able to hear me and everyone is able to see my screen. If possible, can someone please confirm if you're able to hear me clearly and able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So by default, yesterday what we discussed is every component. Whenever you want to design a page in our application, we need to create a component. A component can contain of 3 files: HTML file, CSS file, and TypeScript file. By default, app component will be created as part of Angular project creation with ng new. Whenever we create a project ng new, so it is going to create a default component called as the app component. Okay. From Angular 17 onwards, there is a drastic change in the component section. Every component is called as a standalone. By default, prior to Angular 17, a component is part of module and module will be loading as part of main module. Okay. Previously, main.ts is going to load app module and app module is going to load app component. But in latest version of Angular, we cannot see any modules over here. Every component is a standalone, which can load on its own. It does not require any module to load on that. Okay. So how to create a component here? ng generate component and component name here. So this is the thing where we discussed over here. Okay. This is what I discussed so far here. So every component will have a names, right guys? A selector, a metadata, which is having selector. Okay. And which is having HTML file as well as which is having what? HTML file as well as CSS file and standalone flag. And I'm discussing about routers at later, not now. It is unnecessarily confusing to everyone. Okay. So this is what I discussed over here. Okay. So before I proceed further, anyone, any questions so far, guys? As of now, whatever I told in yesterday's class, any questions from anyone? Is everyone is clear? Okay. Sir, everyone is clear, right? So far? Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a component, guys, here. ng generate component is a syntax, right? ng generate component first is the component. ng generate component first is the component name. So that what it does actually, it is creating first component. What are the things are created, sir? First component.html, first component.ts, first component.css, and first component.set.ts. That is a unit testing file you can ignore. We don't require here. Okay. So while creation itself, you want to ignore unit testing file, ng generate component second. Okay. And I have flat. There is a syntax called as a hyphen flat. Oh, why it is creating ng generate component? Still it is creating, right?
Yesterday you told that hyphen.
Skip test, right? Yeah. Maybe I'll write third component hyphen skip test.
That flat means? Sorry.
1 second, sir. Angular 18 component creation skip test file. Always they'll change actually. Hyphen skip hyphen test. Hyphen skip hyphen skip hyphen test. Maybe we'll see here. Hyphen skip hyphen test. Yeah, it is working, right, guys? Hyphen skip hyphen test. This is what I'll write here in the running notes here. They will always change, guys. Maybe there's a component I'm writing here. This will skip the test file and create only 3 files. ng generate component third hyphen skip hyphen test. This will skip the test file and creates only 3 files. Okay, right, sir. So far clear, right, guys? Now we'll see here 3 components are created in my case. First component, second component, and third component. We don't have refresh over here. ng generate component, second component, and first component. Yes. Here in first component, this is the default code works. Okay. I'm writing h1 tag. This is the first component which is created by me. I'm writing some code here. What I'm writing, sir? Some code. I'm creating a component in the first component.html. I'm writing some code. Sir, I'm going to ask some questions, guys. You need to answer, guys. Okay. I'll see who are listening to my classes perfectly. Okay, guys. Now, when I run the code, can I see this output, guys? When I run this code, can I see this output?
No.
Why?
No.
But MS main.ts will be load the app component, not the first component.
We have to mention app.root inside app component.
Yes, exactly. So, sir, though you write some code in the first component, but in main component is loading app component and it only loads app component, right? Now we'll see here. right? Yes. So here, localhost colon 4000, sorry. So this is the thing over here. This is the thing over here, right? Now, sir, if it is always loading app component, then what is the use of creating a one component, sir? I created first, I created second, I created third. I wrote some code in first, I wrote some code in second, I wrote some code in third. What is the use then? Anyhow, main component is loading app component, and I only write app component only the code. If that is the case, why to create all those components? That is a doubt. Everyone will get it right. Now, I wrote some code in the first component, sir. How to get my first component over here? How to get my first component here? One way is, instead of app component, I can load my first component. Instead of app component, I can load my first component, right, guys? Can I do that?
Yes, yes.
First component. But still, is it sufficient? Now I told main.ts to load app component, but it's not sufficient, right, guys? Here,
Yes, sir. Yes.
still is not sufficient, right?
Yes.
Yes.
In index.html, I am having still app component only, right, guys?
Yeah, here need to configure.
Here we need to write. What is the name of the things here? App first, right? Yes or no, guys? App first.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what is the change I did here? In main.ts, I loaded first component. In the index.html, I bootstrap the first component. Now you are able to see. Yes or no, guys?
Yes.
Now you are able to see that, right, guys? Now you understood the flow, guys? Now you are clear, right?
Yes.
So whenever you want to bootstrap, always app component is not a root component. When you create a project, default component is app component. When you create a project, default component is app component. Default component is app component. But I can change. I can create my own component and I can bootstrap that component. Understood, right, guys? Everyone is clear? So I'm going to write a running notes over here.
Sir, one question, sir. Can we directly create that HTML from that project itself, sir, rather than creating as a component?
You can do that, sir. You can do that.
Okay.
But when
Right.
I'm getting a command to create, why to do that, sir?
Yeah,
Have a
because
command.
sometimes people like to do it in the UI, right, sir?
What is that?
But command is better, sir. But sometimes it is easy to do it from UI, right? Just right click and create as HTML.
Sir,
Not recommended.
you need to create 4 files, right? It's not only HTML, right?
Right.
If you have
Yeah.
a lot of patience to create, then you can go with that option. Okay. One
Right, sir.
command will create 4 files. Rather than creating 4 files, it's up to you. But you can do anything. It's not mandatory that you need to use command. Okay.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Here, I'm going with a continuation. I think I wrote yesterday continuation, right? Sorry. 1 second, guys. If I have the same continuation, right, it will be easy for me, right? Yes. Okay. Now this is over. Now let me take the third one. Continuation of 3, because 3 points are not in one document. I'm giving 3. Okay. Now what is the point I want right over here? 16th one. By default, app component is root component, because ng new will create app component, and this component is bootstrapped within main.ts, right? But we can create our own component and make that as a root component. How to do that? Steps. Steps. Go to main.ts and replace app component with the first component, right? A new component here, right? After that, navigate to index.html and refer first component selector value. App first. App first. Right? Clear, right, everyone? Right. Let me save here, guys. I'll lose something like. Here. Right. Now, after that, what I'm going to do here, sir, now I am writing some code in second component. Now done. I'm going to write a second component, guys. H2. This is second component. Now, how to display this data then? Again, do I need to go to main.ts? Again, do I need to load second component? Again, index.html. Do I need to write like this? It's not good. Correct, right?
Yes.
So, what we can do here, inside first component.html, I can bootstrap second component. What is the second component metadata here? App second, right, sir? Yes or no? Inside first component.html, inside first component.html, I'm writing app second over here. Why second component is not created? That's why it is giving error. Somehow second component is not created properly. Let me delete over here. Because it should create a folder here. Why it is not created? We'll see that. Right? I have a third component, right? So let me go to third component. H2. This is another component. Loaded from root component. Loaded from root component. And third component.ts, app third, right? Let me go to why it is also not spelling. Okay. Inside first component.ts, I need to load import third component. Inside first component, I loaded third component. In third component HTML, I'm writing over here. One second, guys. In first component, I was able to load. Okay. whenever I'm adding third component here, I'm getting this error. So where I'm importing the third component. Okay. Here I need to write third component here. Import third component. Right. I forgot this. Okay. It's a new change in Angular. Angular 18 new change here. I need to import third component over here. Import section, I need to add third component. I need to import this. Now you see here, this is another component loaded from root component. You're able to see that? This is another component loaded from root component, right? Now what I'll do here, I will add one more component, guys. I will add one more terminal over here. ng gc second hyphen skip hyphen test second component, which is getting created, right? And the second component HTML. H3, this is loaded from third component. This is loaded from third component. So what I need to write here? Second component.ts, right? App second. Either I can write in first component or I can write in second component. Anywhere I can write here. If I'm writing over here, understand? And in third component.ts, I need to import second component. So that where in second component.html, I'm writing right app second. So first component is loading third component and third component is loading second component, right? Let me write here in first component.html, app second, app third. In first component, I will write second component. So you're able to see that's the first component, this is the second component, and this is the third component, right? Ideally, it should work here, where you can load third component also from second component. It will work here, okay? But anyhow, we are not going to use this. This is how we are going to load whatever the page you want inside our root component. Which component you want? That component you want to write inside our root component here, right? So next point is, whenever we want to load our own component, then we need to bootstrap this component. What is the meaning of bootstrapping, sir?
Loading.
Bootstrapping means loading. That is how to load app-third. That is what loading. That is the meaning of bootstrapping over here. And import this component in the import section and load import section, which will load the requested component. We can have n number of components can be added in root component. So before routing, sir, as of now we didn't discuss about routing. Routing will come after 30 classes. Almost at the end it will come. Till that time, We will write our code and we'll bootstrap the things and we'll take care here. We'll write our code and we are going to bootstrap this and we'll take care here. As of now, this is the only, okay? Right here. Now, sir, next point is it mandatory that, okay, to have separate HTML file and separate CSS file? Is it mandatory? For example, in third component HTML, sir, I have only one line, sir. For one line, do I need to create a page, sir? It's a question, right? Sir, I have only one line of code in third dot component HTML. To display that line, do I need to create a page over here? Do I need to create a page over here to display the third component? I want to have an inline, that is in the same file. For that, instead of template URL, I can write template, where I need to use a backtick operator. Backtick is what? Multi-line string, I told, right, guys? Backtick operator, which is a multi-line string, where I can write HTML code over here. This is the another component which is loaded from root component. It is written as an inline. I will write here. This code was written inline inside TS file. So what I'm writing, sir? I don't want to create a separate HTML file. If you have a lot of code, then you can create, sir. If you have a lot of code, then you can create. But I have very small code, sir. One line, two lines. For that, do I need to create a HTML file? No need, right? For that, Angular is providing an option. Angular is providing an option where template code, template is a inline code. Template URL is external file, outside code. Understand? Now you'll see the output, guys. This is another component. This code was written inside TS file. These two lines came from where? Inside TS file. Yes or no, guys? Right. In the same way, do we also read for styles? For styles also, do we need this? Again, I can comment this. Style. You have seen that, right? Okay. Where you can have an array. Where you can have an array. Backtick. H2 tag. Color is equal to blue. What I wrote here, I put a style tag. Instead of style URL, I put a style tag. H2 color blue. Now this came blue, right? H2 color blue, right? If I write green, it become green, right? So inline HTML template tag, inline style sheet, style tag, we need to use. This is also one of the interview question, guys. Okay. Interview question, guys, will not use in real time. If you want to have inline HTML, then we can comment template URL inside component metadata. Inside, we can comment template URL inside component metadata and add a new tag. Add a new tag, template, and write the HTML code inside backtick operator. Example. There's a code over here. It will not move like that. Okay. Next one is, if you want to have inline CSS, then we can comment styles URL, add new tag, styles, and write all styles as follows. So this is it. Understand, right? Inline CSS as well as inline style. Right. So this is the basics of component. Now we saw that how to create a component, how to display that component output to the browser, how can I view my component, how to write inline code, how to write external code. All those things we have discussed here. Right? Now this introduction part of Angular is over. The first topic of introduction part of Angular is over. What we discussed in that part of introduction part of Angular, sir, how to create an Angular project. What is the Angular project structure? How Angular project will work in the background? How client-side rendering is going to happen? What is the life cycle of an Angular project? At what time, what sections will call? What is single page application? What is main.ts? What is root component? What is index.html? What is main.js? Polyfills.js? Styles.css? Vendor.js? All those things we discussed. And today, how we can create our own component, how to bootstrap our own component, how to write inline HTML, how to write inline CSS. This is what I discussed so far, guys. Okay, clear, right? Any questions, guys, so far? Now, next topic is data binding. This is the minimum 2 questions will come in interview. It's the basics of Angular, sir. Now, what we learned here, how to create a component we learned, how to bootstrap the component we learned. Now, how to have a data to be binded. How to have a data to be binded. Okay. how to have my component to be binded over here. How to have my component is binded over here. What is the meaning of data binding over here? Typically, my data binding is, okay, so there are three stages over here, guys. Typically, there are three stages over here. The first stage typically is sir, I have some data in HTML. I want to give to TypeScript. Correct, right? Isn't it? I have some data in HTML. I want to give to TypeScript. Or I have data in TypeScript. I want to display in HTML. So, communicating the HTML to business logic. What is data binding? HTML, we already know that. TypeScript is new, right? TypeScript is my business logic, right? CSS is for style sheet. We know we can ignore that. It's only for purely styling. Just like if you know the styling that we can do, okay? Important files are for what? HTML file as well as TypeScript file. Yes or no? Important files are what? Now, how to communicate TypeScript file with HTML file? How to communicate HTML file with TypeScript file here? So that is what we are going to discuss on a data binding component. Okay. So there are three properties, guys. String interpolation, three ways. Data binding can be achieved using three ways. String interpolation, property binding, as well as event binding. Three ways, guys. What is data binding? Communicating HTML with the TypeScript as well as TypeScript with HTML. Communicating HTML with TypeScript as well as TypeScript with HTML. That is called as a data binding. How to achieve data binding? String interpolation and property binding as well as event binding. So, string interpolation and property binding are for, you see the direction, right? What is your understanding from the PPT, guys? When string interpolation will come, when property binding will come, sir? I have the data in business logic, TypeScript file. I want to output it to HTML. I want to display the data in HTML. Okay? What is that actually? I have the data in TypeScript file. I want to display the data in HTML. That is string interpolation. For example, sir, in the first component, sir. Okay. I'm going to first component.ts here. I'm declaring message, which is of type string, is equal to hello. I declared a variable, sir. What is the variable? Message, which is of type string, hello. I want to display the data in HTML. I want to display the data in HTML. What is it I'm going to do here? I will remove all those things I don't require over here. Okay. String interpolation. That's what I'm writing over here. Message from TypeScript file is two quotes, two braces, two flower brackets. I'll write MSG. MSG is a variable, right? This is called as string interpolation. Now, message from TypeScript file is hello. You're able to see that? String interpolation. Message from TypeScript file is hello. In future, I'm taking hello Ashok IT. You saw that hello Ashok IT came right automatically? Whenever this value changes in TypeScript, automatically HTML file will be updated here. Whenever the value is taken in the TypeScript, automatically HTML file will be happening over here. Whenever you change, right? So what is string interpolation? What is the meaning of string interpolation?
Whatever the data in the TS
Whatever the data we have in the TypeScript file, our business logic data, I want to display on the HTML side.
With double quote.
That is called as string interpolation. How to do that? That is two flower brackets where I can write a TypeScript variable name over here. Where we can write two flower brackets where we can write TypeScript variable. That is the string interpolation. So string interpolation always from TypeScript to HTML only. TypeScript to HTML. That is string interpolation. After that, next one is property binding also. Okay. So before that property binding here, what I'm going to do is I will write some properties over here. I'll write some code over here. Okay. Let me write some code over here where I'll explain string interpolation here. Where I'm going to write some strings here. First name or username, which is of type string, is equal to empty. First name, which is of type string, is equal to empty. Last name, which is of type string, is equal to empty. Email, which is of type string, is equal to empty. I declared this. Now what I'm going to write here, inside constructor, I can initialize these values, right? In TypeScript, we saw that, right? This dot username is equal to Ashok IT. This dot first name is equal to Ashok. This dot last name is equal to IT. This dot this dot email is equal to ashok.it@gmail.com. I'm initializing the values to constructor, right? Now I want to get username function, which is of type string, return username. Yes or no, guys? In Java, we have getters and setters, right? Same way. Get first name, which is of type string, return this dot first name. Next, get last name, which is of type string, return this dot last name. Get email, which is of type string, return this dot email. So constructor, get username, get first name, get last name, get email. All these are the things over here. get username, get first name, get last name, get email. Now I want to display the data here. H2 username. How to write that, guys? Username, right? Same variable, right? Yes or no, guys?
Yes, yes.
After that, first name, which is equal to first name. After that, last name as well as email. And here email. So string interpolation, username, first name, last name, as well as email, right? Now you saw that, right? Username is Ashok, first name is Ashok, IT, email ashokit@gmail.com. Okay. Sir, what
Sir,
is this
to
useful?
load, sir, one quick question, sir. To load this page, you ran this first component .ts file, sir?
Sir, we will never run any component, sir. ngserv is the only command we'll run.
Just ng, sir. Okay, sir.
ngserv is not. Sir, one question, sir. Are you typing the code at the same time while I'm teaching, sir?
No, sir. I'm watching, sir.
Okay. Sure. That's fine. Just I got it out, sir.
Okay.
Please.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Don't type. My humble
Right, sir.
request
Yeah.
not only to you, everyone, sir. Because you will confuse, sir. I'm giving code every day, right? Okay. Spend 15 minutes. Then you can get it. Okay. It will only lose the traction. That's the only point here. Okay. Right, sir. Always we will run ngserv only, sir. We don't have any command to run here. Only
Right, sir.
ngserv is the command, which always you do any change, it will only run. You no need to run every time. Only
sir,
one
okay.
time you will run. Whenever you do any changes, automatically it pushes the changes to the browser. Okay? You no need to run every time. Whenever you do a change, you no need to run every time. ngserv is in the background, which is going to run always. Now, sir, can I give only data member or a member function? In string interpolation, can I give data? These are data members, right, guys?
Yes.
Can I give member function also here? Get email is a member function, right? This is a member function. It's working, sir. So, as part of string interpolation is concerned, we can give data member as well as we can give member function. Okay? Sir, what is the use with the string interpolation, sir? I have the data. Today I hard coded this data, sir. But in real time, I'll make a REST call and this data is available in the database, right? And I'll get the data from database, right? And I'm going to get the data from database, right, guys?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And that time I want to display data, right? Whenever I display a page, I'll load with information, right? So string interpolation is always useful whenever you want to display the data on the HTML where the data is available in TypeScript file. Understand? Let me repeat. String interpolation is an important feature in data binding concept where you want to display the data on HTML by retrieving the data from TypeScript file. That is useful. Okay. How to write a interpolation? 2 flower brackets. Can we say flower brackets, guys? Can we curly braces or flower brackets? What? I mean, I don't know. Okay. Curly braces. Anything, sir. Whatever you know. I'll take curly braces or flower brackets. Any one of the things. Please think both are same names. It's your perception. I will use flower brackets. So just like curly braces or flower brackets, where I can write either data member or a member function. We can write either as a data member as well as member function. Then the data will be displayed in the HTML. That is called as a string interpolation. Okay. So Angular nodes is over, guys. Let me create a new file. A data binding is a separate thing here, separate topic here. Sir, minimum 2 interview questions will come as part of this topic, sir. As part of this topic, minimum 2 interview questions, guys. After this data binding is over, sir, I will give exercise. Can I give exercise?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. After this is over. Okay. And we can have marks also. How many marks? Something like, please don't think, are we students? You are a teacher. No, just like to justify yourself. Are you listening to properly? Are you writing the
sure,
code
sure.
properly? For that only, sir. Okay. Right.
Okay, yes, sir.
What is data binding here? Communication between TypeScript and HTML is called as data binding. And this can be achieved using 3 types. One is string interpolation. 2 is property binding. 3 is event binding. All these are one way, sir. These 3 are one way. What is the meaning of one way, sir?
Can apply only one.
Either from HTML to TypeScript or from TypeScript to HTML. Either from HTML to TypeScript or from TypeScript to HTML. And we have one more concept, 4th, we can achieve using 4 types, not 3 types, sir. It's my mistake. We can have 4 types here. Okay. Now, what the 4th one is? Two-way binding. The name itself is two-way binding. What is the meaning of two-way binding?
We can communicate.
If you change in
From both
HTML, automatically updated in TypeScript, updated in TS. If you change in TS, updated in HTML, automatically. If you change in HTML, in TypeScript, it will update it automatically. If you change in TypeScript, it will be updated in HTML. But in case of one way, if you do in HTML, then only TypeScript. Now in string interpolation, sir, if I change in TypeScript, then only HTML will update it, sir. But if I do any change here, will it be updated? No. We are going to see that. So this is the first flavor of string interpolation. That is, which is having what? Sorry, first flavor of data binding, that is string interpolation, displaying the data in HTML. So where we are going to have here? First
So
one
we
is,
always display data from TS to HTML, right, sir? Why we want to display other way, sir, from HTML to?
we'll see actually.
Okay,
I'll
sir.
explain it now. Okay. It's a good question, but I'll explain that. Whenever the topic comes, I'll explain it. Okay. Always, yes, it's a valid. Always we have a data in TypeScript. We'll do HTML, right? Why we need that? I'll explain that. Okay. Right. So that you'll get in tomorrow's class. String interpolation.
Okay, sir.
Displaying the data into HTML file by retrieving the data from TS file. We can use TS variable or TS member function, right? Inside HTML. Is it correct, right? Either TS variable or TS member function. Example, first name or get first name. This will display first name value in HTML file. Okay. So let me save this. Sir, one more point, sir. Everyone will have a portal access, right, sir? Now, I'm going to share the code in the portal itself. Ashok IT portal. So that you can see the code and you can join the class, everything through portal. So initially we have a problem in the Google Classroom. That's why we added here. Now, I'll only keep Google Classroom for communications. Only for communications, guys. Like tomorrow class is there or not, or any kind of change, or if you want, I want to communicate anything, or you have a problem. While executing the code, you have a problem. This Google Classroom we will use for communication. My plan is, because all faculties are sharing the notes in the Ashok IT portal itself. So I am also going to share the code in Ashok IT portal. I will keep a zip file. In the zip file, I will share Ashok IT. This SRC folder I will zip, sir. Sir, I'm going to zip this SRC folder so that you can see my code. Because the entire code is very high code, right? Only SRC folder I will write a code, right, guys? So we are going to zip SRC folder only as part of this. Okay? Maybe I'll share the code and I'll show you how to download and everything in tomorrow's class. Okay? And thanks for today. And we'll meet tomorrow. Have a great day. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.